Hello, everybody. I thank the Brown Critique and Vinita Agrawal for kindly inviting me to read for this channel. My name is Suhit Kelkar. My poetry, journalism, and short fiction have appeared in several Indian and international journals. My debut book is a poetry chapbook named The Centaur Chronicles, which uses the figure of a centaur to explore themes of exclusion, discrimination, and otherness. My book of photographs and haiku, Mumbai Monochrome, also a chapbook, was released in 2020. The first poem I'd like to read for you is called Exodus of Climate Refugees. On cracked land where zeros grow, you'll sow a handful of hollow laughter and reap from the rumor of a river the rainbow-finned fish called equanimity. You'll square your bony shoulders against the dread silence of the barren plain and gnash your teeth against the dull ache in your legs, but trudge on again. As our ancestors for whom the horizon was a boundless itch out of Africa, although their desert was partly ice, and ours will mostly be soil. The second poem I'm going to read for you is called Ocean's Ghost. Coteries of moths wove the stuccoed wall of childhood. The laughing chatter of my parents drenched my skin and wet my bones without arousing my comprehension. Try as I might, I could not be with them as their own could not cross. The darkness pooled between me and these folk whose flesh had made mine, but whom I did not understand, as I did the talking trees outside, the throbbing land, and this night of childhood, which was the ghost of an ocean. Next, I'll be reading a poem called The Crow Considers Her Responsibilities. Her slant gaze won't miss a meal under a roadside tree, a plate of stitched leaves heaped with food by the wingless, for they are sweet. What would they taste like? There's time yet. She's never starved, not one day. All dies, all is food. The earth is meat, the sky is water. In the end, who but she will eat? My next poem, to continue with the animal theme, is called The Ant Queen. With her own jaws she chewed off her wings. They nourished her till her first eggs were laid. Now, as the pulsing heart of pullulation, she fills chamber after chamber with generations emanating like concentric ripples from the bindu of her body. The urge to multiply is heady and fulfilling, and her destiny besides, or at least seems to be. Sometimes she feels a fluttering at her back, having sold the sky for the colony's sake. If she dreams of lost flight, what of it? My next poem is called The Hummingbird and I. If all ends, the oceans will fold us into their muddy rug, turning our lovely and ugly selves alike into food for such fish as are alive. Till then I thank the woman of the waters who takes each night's moon to term, who wafts it through the star-stained sky to silver all that breathes and doesn't. Grateful for the kindness of creation, untainted with melancholy, unmixed with self-destructiveness, gently as a knot unraveling, I unclench the lockjaw that shackled my breath slackens, and I'm able to part my lips, so the hummingbird hovering near my face in search of a portal can lay its eggs on the tree of my ribs and bring its fledglings a mouthful of love, soft and succulent. Approaching the end now. My next poem is called Parkour. Bloated with big questions, I remember the lanky French parkour teacher learning philosophy in the cool mountains of McLeodganj. One fragrant evening in the juniper forest, he considered a troop of monkeys making a song of their jumps from branch to branch. He'd smiled as answers arrived before questions arose, and delight glowed in infinite directions of this centerless world. I realize he'll hold on to that moment as long as he breathes, or I would. I imagining him leaping over life's big questions and smiling. For my last poem, I will be reading The View from Antillia. And I should mention here that Antillia is a mythical island and no other meaning is intended. The View from Antillia. Between his two wild breaths, the hurricane of craving is curling around him as he unites gain and grasping, old chasm that he's sewn up with his own gut. No longer a merchant, but descending merchant king, from the swollen sky tattooed with his surname, he leashes the skyline itself, yet horizons won't suffice. He sighs and wants the moon, rind of desire after the eclipse has eaten. He longs for it to wax again, fears his waning. Can't wait to rest his cheek against its fullness, to quench his heartburn. If it still hurts, no matter, he'll point his sextant at Mars, whose reddish tincture will lave him. Thank you so much for listening to these poems. My name is Suhit Kelkar.